Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1, Episode 9. It's called Hidden Q. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. As the title would clearly imply, Q has returned from the pilot, from
Yep.
Farpoint, and he's here. We see his big grid again comes up, his big net that stops the ship,
Mhm.
and chaos ensues. The Enterprise is supposed to be going to help with the disaster. There was an explosion, some sort of methane explosion.
Yeah, something or other. It's always the same.
Yeah, so people are dying. They need to get there to help. And Q, of course, the scoundrel that he is, shows up at the worst possible moment and hijacks the crew in the ship
Yes,
for
it's
a
like
game of
we're,
some
do-
kind.
we're doing my shit now. Forget about all those dying people.
Yeah, that's basically it. So it's like a focus on Riker specifically. It kind of becomes more focused on him as the episode goes on. But he basically takes most of the crew, not counting the captain, and also no Troy. Troy's away visiting home for the episode.
Yeah, for reasons.
For reasons. I mean, I don't actually mind it so much. Like, it
It's
makes it makes sense in a ship like this that every so often they would get like a bit of away time on their own.
yeah, it does. What was weird though is that they addressed it because like we had Worf missing a few episodes ago
That's
and
true.
just didn't mention it. It was fine.
Yeah, it's probably needless unless like she comes back in an episode and the plot involves it involves the fact that she was away at home for a bit. Like that feeds into the story. In which case, I'll like the fact that they set it up by saying she was already away home for a trip.
Sure, but I suspect that won't happen.
I suspect it as well. I think it's unlikely, but that's the way that I'd say. No, I'm glad they actually mentioned it in the previous because it just makes it feel a bit more connected and planned and thought out.
I would agree, but again, even if that's the case, I would not have it in such a expositionary way just at the start of she's away with family. Like have it come up in a conversation.
Yeah, whatever. There's this, I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
not.
It stuck out to me as like the opening of the episode.
This was not as glaring to me as what the Flash does now.
Well, that's yeah, that's because they have to come up with a different excuse every week.
I mean, I'm not sure like why they didn't have her for this episode. I mean, maybe it was like, oh, we're cutting down some episodes for some actors. I don't know if she was necessarily a regular in season 1, so it actually saved money to like cut her from the episode, or if there was just other reasons. Like I have no idea. But
Yeah, I mean,
um, yeah, so it didn't really bother me so much. It's the sort of thing where if they do it every third episode, they say, "Oh, someone's away on leave for an episode." I'm like, okay, this is starting to feel like patchwork, but
yeah,
just once, whatever, it's fine. It made sense that this happens every so often. Um, but yeah, so Q shows up and he takes control of everything. He beams most of the crew down to this random planet, Class M planet, might I add.
naturally.
Naturally, because it has to be Class M, or they'll all just suffocate and die. So it's a Class M planet, and it kind of sets up that it's going to be like French soldiers that are going to fight, but it turns out to be these sort of pig-like aliens that just happen to be in French army uniforms.
Yeah, just because. I
Just
guess this is the
because,
French thing coming up with Picard.
I guess. I what, I'm willing to believe that Q picked like a period in French history just to piss off Jean-Luc when he popped up on the bridge in that marshal
Yeah,
uniform.
yeah, exactly. And he's like French, really.
Yeah, he's like extra offended. He's like, how dare you sully the name of Vive la France? You know,
Yeah,
is basically his thing. So yeah, but ultimately the plot of the episode is that he actually wants to recruit Riker. He gives Riker the power of Q, so that Riker can also beam people back and forth between the ship. He can heal people, and we see this throughout a couple of examples. And it's about kind of him trying to like win Riker over, so Riker will give up and join Q. Perhaps the most interesting element of this is that the reason why Q is so interested in human beings is because Q kind of is the name for his entire people in a way. He's part of Q.
yes, it's the individual and the species.
Yes, so he's basically like, okay, so Q as as a species is really advanced, right? We're eons ahead of human beings, but human beings have this thing where we're constantly curious and constantly trying to improve and change. It's kind of part of who we are, and that's a thirst they don't have. So they're basically predicting that eventually humans will overtake them because humans have this thirst to keep improving, and they've already improved so much and advanced so much in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that's an interesting concept. I actually kind of like that idea. That's why he's so interested. Is that eventually we are going to kind of like beam past them in terms
Yeah.
of Uh, not just in technology, but just in everything.
Yeah, well, we will be the godlike entities.
Beyond that. So that's an interesting idea, and he wants to win Riker over because he wants Riker so that they can maybe hope to learn that thirst that humans have to keep expanding, and that's why they want Riker. So the whole thing is basically a test for Riker, and he wants Riker to jump ship. And that's it. So we'll get to more of the plot in a bit, but let's ask the question. Connor, did you enjoy Hayden Q?
It wasn't bad, actually. It's all right.
I'm conflicted.
Okay.
I liked what I just told you. Everything I just said about what we learned about Q and why he cares about humans and why he wants Riker.
Yeah.
I like all that. The actual Riker side of it, though, in the back half of the episode, I had some issues with how that went.
Okay.
Because, so they're down on this planet, and Q brings everyone down again, because he actually sends them away at one point and then brings them back, right?
Yeah.
And he brings down Wesley this time, because Wesley wasn't there at first. Brings down Wesley. Wesley gets stabbed. He gets speared through the stomach, which was, I'll be honest,
very satisfying.
It was a very nice sight. I enjoyed the visual. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And Riker, takes command of the power of Q and beams them all back aboard the ship. And it's like, okay, Riker has this power, and everyone's kind of sketchy about it. Picard's kind of like, you did that. Number one, what's happening here?
It's like, maybe you shouldn't be using this power. Yes.
And then they get to the planet that's supposed to save people, and Riker had promised Picard that he wouldn't use the power because it would lead to temptation. And they find this girl who's already dead, and Riker's like, I could save her, but I made a promise. And then immediately Riker storms back into Picard when he's back on the ship and says, damn you for making me, agree to that. Like, I could have saved that girl. And this very scene, he's already calling him like Jean-Luc. He's already turning his back on him. He's already, going, like nuts with power. And then, a scene later, he's got them all there in this meeting. Q shows up again dressed as a monk. Because
Q reasons.
Because Q. Well, monks bring people into their faith. So I can kind of see the... he's almost, it's almost a Jedi thing. He's trying to, bring him into the dark side. He's the Emperor.
Sure, I wasn't getting that at all, but okay.
I wasn't thinking of Star Wars when I was watching it. I'm saying that now to give it to you in terms that you would understand, because you're a feeble Star Wars fan of a lesser intellect, and I have to compare it to Star Wars.
I can understand monks and religion just fine, thank you very much.
Aye, because Star Wars taught you. So basically, Riker's like, no, like, I should have this power. We can advance everything we do as human beings because I have this power now. I can give you all your wildest dreams. And he turns Wesley into a man.
Yes.
Which later, because at first he was silent, he just kind of smiled, and I thought, oh, they're avoiding the awkwardness because he'll have a different voice. And then later on, they actually just dub him with young Wesley Crusher's voice. And it was really funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was.
I was kind of
and here's the thing, so I actually like all of this stuff. It happens too fast.
It happens too fast. Riker just goes from normal Riker to, no, Jean-Luc, I am in charge now. He didn't say that, but that's the feeling you get. He thinks he's bigger than Jean-Luc now. He thinks he's bigger than the captain. Yeah. He does that in the space of like 10 seconds. And the thing is, it was so quick that I thought that Q had done more to him. Like Q was like manipulating him in some other way, that he'd done something extra to him. And no, none of that at all. He gives everyone something they want. He gives Geordi's eyesight back. He gives Worf a wife, I guess. He almost turns Data into a human, but Data refuses, and everyone else kind of refuses as well. Geordi, after taking his visor off, which by the way, he turned round, looked at Tasha, and went, "You're even more beautiful than I imagined." I'm like, what? When was that ever hinted at? That he thought Tasha was hot? Like, where did this come from?
Doesn't everyone on this ship?
I mean, they've established that she's a bit of a sex-hungry maniac. I don't know if they've established that everyone else is into her.
I mean, I feel like it's just the logical conclusion.
I mean, I don't know. It just came out of nowhere for me. I actually laughed out loud when he turned around and said that. I laughed out loud because I'm just like, we've built up this mystique now of Tasha being the sex fiend. But then he's like, no, put me back the way I was. This isn't real. It came from Q. This is like essentially a mirage, if you will. And Data kind of same argument. This wouldn't be real. I don't want this. And then after everyone else refuses, Wesley finally steps in and says, "Yeah, turn me back into a kid. This is too fast." And this was the other problem I had with Riker's whole thing going too quick, is that as soon as he changed Wesley into a man, right? It's like, okay, you want to be an adult. Okay, here you are. You're now, instead of 15, you're 25. I went, But Riker's smart enough to know that you have to go through that development to become who you're going to become. Skipping all that development basically means that he's going to be, well, for lack of a better word, underdeveloped as a human being,
Uh,
as an adult.
I mean, typically referred to as a man-child,
Sure, as a man-child, yes.
quite
And
literally in this case.
I feel like Riker would know that. He's smart enough to know it, which is why I thought that he's not just being himself. But then, once everyone refuses him, he just turns to the captain and smirks and goes, I've been a fool, haven't I?
It's like, how did you know?
You were right all along, Picard. And he's like, you have been a fool, quite rightly. And then, after he tells Q to piss off, and they kind of like, the rest of Q kind of takes him away because Q's been interfering too much. He's got some explaining to do.
And that he failed to get even a human to join them with this amount of power.
And Picard, like he sits down. He's like, "Okay, everyone's back to normal. We're back." There's a little quip about how Q understands space time really well, but he can't fathom humans. And Picard points out, well, maybe space time once you actually learn it, because it's science. It's actually quite simple. But the human condition is something that even we can't really understand. We just are.
Yeah,
we are what we are. We can't really explain it. And I'm like, okay, that's a nice little point. And he sits down and he looks across at Riker and they just kind of smirk at each other. And Picard's like, engage, roll credits. And I'm like, no. Reprimand that piece of shit. No.
Yes, but Riker came to the conclusion himself that what we was doing was wrong.
No, he didn't. No. He didn't conclude shit. He did not. Like, this is the whole thing. This was meant to be a game for Riker, and like Picard at the start was like, "Yeah, Riker, I trust my number one. He will prove himself." Riker didn't understand or learn shit. Riker did not pass any test. Everyone else passed the test.
Yes,
Riker just took it in eventually.
Yes, exactly. He finally understood. And here's the thing: how many rules did he actually break?
This is not about breaking rules. This is about his attitude.
No, reprimanding someone implies that they broke rules.
Okay, he spoke back to the captain and had a general disrespect. Like, I'm just saying, he gets off far too lightly. It's as if nothing ever happened. It's just like, haha, lol, what a fun ride that was. That was weird. Let's move on. Like, no. Riker needs to win me back a little bit after this. They have damaged his character a little bit for me in this episode.
It's fine, I'll grow a beard.
That'll be when it becomes okay. Yes, the beard will erase the sins. But right now, he's a little bit damaged. I think he was poorly written in this episode.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It was poorly written. I was convinced that Q would mess with his mind as well. And it turns out, no. He literally just went that power mad that quickly because he had this power.
Yeah, I think, honestly, the speed of it is probably my only real complaint here. The rest of it, and I suppose the ending of him not, it's all back to normal, but that's just one of those things where I expect that immediately back to normal. Okay,
sure. I'm joking that it should be reprimanded. Maybe reprimand's not the right word. I think Picard should at least be a little uneasy with him for an episode or two.
Again,
he needs to gain his trust back.
Again, I do agree with that in theory, but TV from this time didn't do that. Not really. So I'm just like,
yeah, but it's not getting a pass. I'm calling it like I see it. It's judged by today's standards. How does Star Trek work for us now in 2019? That is
the amount of things we gave a pass on in original series.
No, we did, but we still pointed them out. We still talked about them. We still addressed them.
And that's what I'm saying. I agree, but I'm willing to let it slide because it's a problem of the time.
Yeah, no, like I'm being hyperbolic here. I'm not going to care next episode. I'm saying that this is one of the worst examples because it's actually kind of hurt his character because it feels like he's this easy to manipulate or he's this easy. Like the idea that if he gets any modicum of power, he will immediately just be like, yes, I'm in charge now. Screw the captain. Screw anyone I respect.
Should probably not be a captain for a while.
Ever.
People can grow.
He needs to be kept in line. I don't trust Riker. I don't trust him.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you
definitely went too quick. That is the biggest complaint I have, is that, like, in the space of getting the power, it took about 2 scenes for him to be absolutely power mad.
I'll tell you. So I laughed, of course, at Geordi being all, "Oh, Tasha, you're beautiful." I laughed at that a lot. The other scene I laughed at quite a bit. So when Q first brings him down to the planet, and he's sitting there in his French uniform, and he's talking to Riker about the game, and it's going to be a game of life and death, blah 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 blah, and he gives them all a drink, and like I think Riker takes a sip, and then the rest all get drinks in their hands. Like it cuts to Worf, and Worf just like holds it up and pours it out in front of him, and I just started laughing. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
I thought Worf being like, "I'm not drinking this."
Worf has some discipline.
Yes.
He wouldn't have gone power mad.
Yeah, and even when he gets really angry and he's going to fight someone, like Picard's like, no, you will not attack unless I order it. Unless I order it, Worf, and he's like, oh, okay, he'll back down. Worf is a higher intellect than Riker.
He's on a leash.
He's kind of on a leash, yes. But like he is more disciplined than Riker is. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
He's more disciplined. Also worth mentioning, Picard did make a wager that if Riker passed the test, that Q would stop meddling in human affairs. Now, I don't believe that he's going to hold to that, but I wonder if it changes the conditions next time he shows up. Like if he has to honor that bet, kind of. I wonder if it
rather
changes.
than just here's a giant net.
Yeah, like I wonder if he'll show up, but he won't necessarily stop them from what they're doing, because that will get old. I think if every time he shows up, it like pauses whatever they were doing.
Yeah, but it always kind of puts them back at the end, right, in time a little bit. Like so, like, almost no time's passed, so they still continue on and save the people.
I'm just thinking of shaking up the formula where like next time maybe he's around and he'll be like, talking over their shoulders, and he's just kind of observing, but he's not like capturing them all and stopping them from doing something. Being a bit more manipulative. Yeah. So. It wasn't a bad episode though. It was just like it was rushed to the point where it kind of hurt Riker's character. His writing in this episode made him look bad.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
We can have episodes where characters go bad or they have to learn a lesson. That is all fine, but this just went too quick. Especially since he's supposed to be number one. He's supposed to,
You hold him to a higher standard. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that.
I don't know, especially because he's the number one, implied that, he should be doing better.
It's not so much that he's the title of number one, it's that he's number one, and he's been shown since the first episode to really, really take strictly the rules, and the fact that he's supposed to like go down to planets instead of the captain. He's supposed to protect the captain. He's supposed to do all these things. He takes the job and the rules of Starfleet very seriously.
Yeah.
And immediately, within seconds, he's like, no, I'm in charge now. Yes, Jean-Luc, sit down.
Yeah,
Poo-poo
power.
See if you just taken that element out of it, where he was like kind of back talking to Picard. See if it was just no, he wanted this meeting to talk about the applications of this power, and they just kind of played it out from there. It'd have been fine.
Yeah, that's true.
If he was just doing all those things to like prove what he could do, what he could make better, like we could have played with that. We could have worked that could have worked a bit better. But
yeah, I don't disagree.
The power hungry part is what kind of made it feel a bit iffy.
Yeah,
as what it is, I suppose. But there you go. So what's coming up next then? That was episode 9. What is episode 10? See, I remembered this time that we do this now.
You did. I was on the ball though. I was ready to remind you again.
Yeah. So episode 10 called Haven. That conjures up certain types of episodes of Star Trek. Well, let's read the description and find out. But I'm a little bit worried. While on a mission to a planet called Haven, Counselor Troy meets her husband to be. A marriage arranged by her father. This sounds like it's following up from her going home.
It actually might.
This sounds like this was set up when she was visiting home.
Okay, so my problem of it just being one-line exposition in the log at the start still stands, but it's mildly better. But you agreed it was unlikely.
I'm a genius! I'm a genius!
Your balls. You definitely read this beforehand.
No, I did not. Arranged by her father years before as the Enterprise encounters...
years before. Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's about to happen, then she's probably going back to make preparations.
We'll see.
If it was like if this was something that's about to happen, she's seen her parents. This is them telling her the arranged marriage is happening. We're making preparations. As the Enterprise encounters a ship far deadlier than any combat could provide. All right.
Okay,
we'll see. Oh, pardon me. That's weird. I'm hiccuping for a change. Usually,
yeah. It is usually.
But yeah, so. There you go, that was episode 9. We'll see you next time for episode 10. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, that helps out a lot. As does, of course, going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month. And at that dollar tier, you get these Star Trek reviews a week early, so you can be ahead of the curve. But otherwise, get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz. But once again, thank you for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Star Trek. And to everyone but Connor, live long and prosper.